What's going on, everybody? Ben Beck here, host of the Spotlight with Ben Beck, as well as the Wilhelm podcast. And I'm coming to you with this special edition episode that if you're a listener of either podcast or both podcasts, hopefully you're going to hear this on both feeds of the podcast because this episode is pertinent. It's very important when it comes to both of these podcasts. Some big changes coming to both of them, and I want to make you aware of it, which is why I'm releasing this episode. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody out there. Happy 2022. We made it. It's another year. The world has been interesting this past year and a half, 2 years. But again, it's 2022. We're here. It's a new year. Time to move forward. And time for us to embrace some new things. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm shooting from the hip on this one, so if I kind of ramble a little bit, I apologize. But I have nothing scripted in front of me. I'm just kind of going on whatever is in my head. Anyway, some changes coming to both podcasts. As I mentioned, I have the Spotlight with Ben Beck, which is my podcast where I have conversations with people from the entertainment industry, actors, actresses, writers, producers, performers, stand-up comedians. I've had this podcast for the past 8 years, still going strong. Not as many episodes over the past year and a half, 2 years, mainly because of things that have been happening around the world. But over the course of the past 8 years with this podcast, I've had the amazing pleasure of having conversations with over 200 guests, both on microphone, on the phone, as well as panels that I've moderated at conventions. And there's going to be more of that to come with that format. I have a couple events coming up in which I'm going to be sharing the stage with some new people, and I will be hopefully recording those and bringing those to you. And I have a number of people scheduled that are going to be joining me for 2022 for some amazing new conversations and bigger guests than I've had before. And I'm incredibly excited about this. I'm fully motivated and I'm going bigger. No person is too big for me to reach out to, which is what is really exciting me. And you never know who you're going to hear on that format of the podcast because I've reached out to some big names and I've gotten a few nibbles back, and it really, really excites me for that. But I also have the Wilhelm podcast, which I just launched in 2021, still relatively new, only 25 episodes out there, but it is a podcast in which me and an invited guest or two, we get together and we come up with a topic that is film related. For example, one of the first episodes that we did was films that we feel are most essential for viewing, for any film fan. That was indeed actually the pilot episode of the podcast. And my guest and I will take that topic and we each bring 5 choices and we kind of reveal what our choices are and why we chose them. And there's a number of different topics along the way. We've done Steve Martin films and John Cusack. We've done car chases and gangster movies. And there are so much more in the works with that episode. So many more topics we can touch. And that podcast has been so much fun. The feedback has been amazing. And that's what really excites me for the future of not just one of these podcasts, but both of these podcasts. This is where the changes come in. And I wanted to do this special episode and put it out to the listeners of both podcasts because I wanted to explain what these changes are, what these changes mean, both for myself and you as a listener. And kind of give you a good idea as to help with the transition, not only to help me support myself as a content creator and support the content that I create, but to help you kind of follow along a little bit easier. So let's start with the Spotlight aspect. Let's start with the Spotlight with Ben Beck podcast, because I think between the two, that is the one that is actually going to be going through the largest change, in the biggest change being the name. The Spotlight with Ben Beck, this podcast has, over the past 8 years, as I mentioned when I started it, has been through so many different iterations. It has morphed, it has evolved, and always for the better. So I don't want that to seem like It's changed so many times. Why is that? Why is that happening? That's horrible. It's not. It is morphed. It has evolved, as I mentioned, and all the changes have been for the better. It started as a internet radio show, and then we started bringing on guests. Our first one ever was Chris Allen, who was one of the winners of American Idol, which was a huge get for us at the time. And I had a co-host with my friend Adam Gorey. Adam is no longer part of the podcast. He hasn't been for a number of years, but I kept the ball rolling. It started, as I mentioned, as an internet radio show, which eventually started incorporating guests. And then we kind of phased out the radio show aspect and went purely with guest conversations. And I say conversations because I don't like using the term interview. Interview seems very, very formal. And my conversations, I always like them to be informal. I want them to sound just like two people getting together, having a conversation, and going wherever that conversation goes. And that has been a great format, and I'm going to stick with that. But when I say name change, the biggest change with the Spotlight, with the name, is that Wilhelm and the Spotlight with Ben Beck are going to be combining to one podcast. The Spotlight with Ben Beck is going to be integrated into Wilhelm. It is going to become a part of my Wilhelm podcast. So there will be a name change. The Spotlight will be, going forward, be considered part of Wilhelm. So if you were listening to this episode on as a follower and a subscriber to the Spotlight with Ben Beck, you are not going to have to do anything. It is automatically going to be integrated into it. You're going to see the name change on your feed to Wilhelm. And over the course of the next couple days, to the next week or two, you are going to start seeing the artwork change. You're going to start seeing some episodes of the Wilhelm podcast pop up on this feed. And that's for good reason. And I'll get to that when I dive into the Wilhelm aspect of it. So that is kind of the biggest change when it comes to the Spotlight, is simply just the name. It's going to be incorporated, but you're not going to have to unsubscribe and resubscribe to another feed. Everything is going to be included right here on the Spotlight feed. Now, while that is the biggest change, Wilhelm is the one that is going to be incorporating the most changes. First and foremost, as I mentioned, it is a movie. It was a movie-themed podcast. But going into this year, going into 2022, we're going to start incorporating television into it. For those of you that don't know, and I don't know if I've ever actually explained this on the podcast, the reason for the name Wilhelm is if you're not familiar with the Wilhelm scream, I encourage you to Google it. There's an amazing story as to the origin behind it, and you'll be surprised as to how many movies that sound clip is a part of. And that's kind of why I chose it. It is something that kind of ties movies together in so many ways. It's one thing that kind of ties a lot of movies together, and that's what I wanted the podcast to be. I wanted a name that, one, was kind of synonymous with Hollywood, and two, kind of tied everything together. Wilhelm was a good choice. But I started to realize over the time period that Wilhelm has been used in television too, especially more and more lately with these bigger budget shows like The Mandalorian or Wheel of Time or anything like that. Not to say I've heard the Wilhelm scream in both of those. I'm pretty sure it's probably been in Mandalorian. Don't think it's been in Wheel of Time. But it is incorporated into both. So that is why I chose that name. And that is why I'm incorporating television into the new format of what is happening and the changes that are happening to Wilhelm. That is the first change. The second change is that if you were already a listener to Wilhelm, which I hope you are, the podcast is changing from a weekly release to an every other week release. So instead of every week of getting a new episode, you're going to get new episodes of Wilhelm every other week. The reason behind that is, one, simply scheduling. to schedule this many podcasts every week, definitely, and trying to juggle life at the same time becomes a little difficult. Plus, when you have ever rotating guest hosts and you have to work with their schedule, a week is kind of a constricted time period. So I'm changing it purely for, I'm changing it, not purely, I take that back. I'm changing it for the sake of scheduling, both for myself and my guests. Plus, with the number of movies that we have to watch and now television series for whatever topic of the week, this now gives both myself and my guest hosts, whoever they may be, more time to prepare and to rewatch whatever movies they want to rewatch whatever television they want to rewatch, do whatever research they want to. So that is another reason for the scheduling change. The biggest change, the biggest reason why I'm changing it is because I'm going to start, as I did with the final episode of 2021, our Christmas episode, I'm going to start incorporating listener feedback. This is something I've always wanted to do since I started this podcast. So many other podcasts do it. It's a great incorporation into it, and it is a great way to incorporate and make listeners a part of the program. So with the show happening every other week, that now gives me time to, about a week before the episode releases, you're going to see posts on social media. I'll give you all the addresses to the social media at the end of this. And you'll see the post of what the upcoming topic is going to be. And now you get to comment on those posts or send emails or send voicemails to let me know. Like, for example, the first show of 2022 with Wilhelm is going to be a year in review, where my guest and I, returning guest Jason Kabasi, who was my first ever guest and has been on since, we are going to reveal and discuss our top 5 favorite movies of 2021. So any movies that released in 2021, which there were quite a few and some amazing ones, we're going to reveal our top 5. So about a week before that episode releases and before we record, I'm going to put a post online that you as a listener can go to and comment what were your choices for your top 5. And we're going to read those on the podcast. We're going to make you a part of the show as listeners, which, again, I've always wanted to do. I'm so excited to be able to do that. So that's the main reason why. That's really the biggest reason, along with scheduling, as to why we're making this change to Wilhelm. Here's another one, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to record this. The Wilhelm podcast, while the spotlight is getting integrated into Wilhelm is the podcast that is going to be moving. So if you are a Wilhelm listener and you enjoy Wilhelm, which you enjoy listening to Wilhelm, which I hope you do, starting March 1st, you're going to keep seeing new episodes of Wilhelm as they release, up until March on the feed that you're subscribed to, up until March 1st. Starting March 1st, all new episodes of Wilhelm will release on the Spotlight feed. So you're going to have to subscribe to that new, to the Spotlight feed. All you have to do is just go to whatever podcast platform you were on and subscribe and search for The Spotlight with Ben Beck. You'll see an image up there with my face on it. Don't know why I chose that, and that's definitely changing. Subscribe to that feed sometime between now and March 1st, and then this way you will continuously keep getting new episodes of Wilhelm. And then after March 1st, the name of the feed will be changing to Wilhelm, and then anytime after March 1st, once you search for Wilhelm, you should be able to find that feed. Hopefully it won't be too complicated, and you may... If you subscribe to the Spotlight with Ben Beck tomorrow, or when you're listening to this, if you're not already subscribed to it, you might see some duplicate episodes, because, as I mentioned, new episodes are going to start popping up on both feeds up until March 1st, and then they'll be exclusive to that other feed that the Spotlight with Ben Beck feed is on. So those are pretty much the biggest changes to the show. one other addition that's going to be coming sometime in 2022. I'm not exactly sure. I'm still working on elements of it. Is that at some point, relatively soon, possibly, hopefully, by March 1st, by the time that these changes happen, I'm going to be launching up a Patreon account for the podcast. What this is if you're not familiar with Patreon, it is a platform in which that it allows you as listeners to contribute to the show monetarily to support the show. And in return for supporting, you get some great goodies that come your way. I'm still working on those, on what those goodies might be, but it's a way to give back to you for helping support me. And there'll be different tiers, and you'll be able to support me in whatever way you want if you decide to support me, which I really hope you do, because the more support I get, the more things I can do with this. I think that's pretty much it. If you have ideas for Patreon, I'm very open to that right now. Patreon is completely new to me. If you have ideas for things you'd like to hear me offer, maybe like a call-in show, or allowing you to be a guest, or submit preferred questions to some of to some of my guests, that's great. I encourage you to reach out to me and let me know what they are. I'm open to all ideas at this point when it comes to Patreon. So let me give you the social medias. I encourage you to follow. And that's the other thing. When the Wilhelm podcast changes over to the Spotlight feed, the social media accounts for Wilhelm will remain the same. Facebook.com/The Wilhelm Podcast, Instagram @The Wilhelm Pod, and the email address, thewilhelmpodcast@gmail.com. None of those are going to change. They are all going to remain the same. So I encourage you, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook. You'll be able to see those posts that will be popping up on what the upcoming episodes are going to be, so you can leave your feedback and you can read that. And again, if you have ideas for what I can throw out there as gifts to you or rewards to you for supporting me on Patreon, please let me know. I'm open to all suggestions. And who knows, I might use one of them for it. So again, the Wilhelm Podcast, Facebook.com/The Wilhelm Podcast, the Wilhelm Pod on Instagram, and the Wilhelm Podcast @gmail.com. Follow me on all social media if you can. Thank you so much for the support up until this point, both for the Spotlight with Ben Beck and the Wilhelm Podcast. I would not have been able to do the Spotlight with Ben Beck for 8 years without the amazing support of people who listen. Excuse me again. People who listen and encourage me to keep going. And hopefully Wilhelm runs for just as many years, if not more. Again, so many topics. I will never run out. Trust me, there's so much to talk about with Wilhelm. Thank you to everybody who stepped up and been a guest host. I can't wait to have you all back on. Thank you to everybody who wants to be a guest host. If you want to, reach out to me in those ways that I gave you. And who knows, I might invite you on, especially if you have something interesting to talk about. I love it. So, big changes going forward. Hopefully this explained it. If you have any questions, please reach out. Let me know. Subscribe to the Spotlight with Ben Beck feed going forward if you don't already. Everything is moving over there. Big changes happening to both podcasts. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great 2022. I look forward to bringing you some great new content. As I mentioned, I have great guests lined up. Oh, that was the other thing I forgot to mention. The Spotlight, those episodes of the Spotlight are going to continue on, and they're going to become bonus episodes of Wilhelm. So every 2 weeks, you are guaranteed a new episode in the topics that we have, but in between is when you will get those conversations with celebrities. So I should have brought that up earlier. I completely forgot about it, and I really don't want to go back and re-record this entire thing because it's already been about 20 minutes, and I don't want to take up any more of your time. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Follow me on social media. Subscribe to the Spotlight with Ben Beck feed because everything is moving over there March 1st. And I think that is about it. Thank you to everybody out there for the support. I've got great guests coming. I've got great episodes and topics to talk about. I have some live shows coming up, which I'm really, really excited about. I'm going to be doing episodes of this podcast in front of live audiences a couple times throughout 2022, and you're going to get to hear those as well. So thank you for the support. Thank you. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Have a great year, and I look forward to bringing you some great new content in 2022. Take care.